Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Welcome back to another YouTube video about the XTS 2500 5000 talk permit tone on conventional personality. So, a couple things to mention before we get started. The first thing is you have to have a Motorola XTS radio, either the XTS 5000 or an XTS 1500 or an XTS 2500. Another important side note, your radio must be equipped with front panel programming or the ability to program from the keypad. This may be exceedingly difficult and you will not receive the satisfactory results that you're looking for if you don't have those basic functions in place. Now, in addition, your radio has to have ADP, that's Alpha Delta Peter, which stands for Advanced Digital Privacy, enabled in order to use the encryption. Now you can also have AES-256, DSOFB, DSXL, and ADP, but you just need basic ADP in order to get this to work. So how do you do it? Well, there's a couple things. You have to go in and adjust one of the controls on the radio to turn on and off the encryption as you see fit. Next, let me just zoom in here. The next thing that you want to do, like I said, is confirm that you have in your flash code Advanced Digital Privacy. So if I go in, I see that I have both Astro Digital Operation and ADP software encryption. Okay. You also have to have, like I said, Astro Digital Operation, and I strongly suggest that you have the applicable P25 functions in your radio, like FCC front panel programming and radio cloning, as well as enhanced digital ID display for other purposes, and Q52, Federal Government Front Panel Programming Enhancement. So, if your radio has that, you're going to go to Radio Configuration, Radio Wide, then you're going to go to, well actually, let's backtrack for a moment here. We're going to go to Conventional. Go to Conventional Personality. I'm keeping this simple. I have my ADP encryption set up on every single one of the channels. So we're going to go into Receive. You're going to select Mix Mode. Squelch, usually keep that between 7 to 9 depending on your preference. Okay. Go to Transmit. In the software, it's always going to be Astro. That's why you have to have front panel programming in your radio to change that, and we'll get to that in a second. You're going to change that on the radio, but for programming purposes, it has to stay like this in the software. Signaling, don't really have to worry about. MDC, don't have to worry about. Secure. You want to make sure that secure voice signal type is at Astro. Go to secure number 2, not relevant. Peter access, not relevant. We can go to advanced. Astro. So, if you haven't done so already, you need to create an Astro system. If you already have, you're going to select that system number. Emergency revert is not necessary. I have mine set up as channel 1. Digital modulator type, you're going to have several different choices. You have C4FM, CQ, PSK, and WIDE. I have mine set at C4FM and digital CSQ. Astro call, if you have this set up, that's great. I always just go through and check all the boxes for decode and encode. So if you haven't done so, you're going to have to set up an Astro system. Go to Astro configuration. I usually set these as the default for all my radios, 700 milliseconds, 3300 milliseconds. Talk inhibit tone, I usually check that. Data, I usually keep all my frame syncs and my numbers the same here. So infinite, 10, infinite. Group ID, not relevant. OTAC, not really relevant. Soft ID, if you want, you can give your radio a soft ID. It's not really necessary for what we're going to go into, but might as well touch all the bases. Astro system. We're going to select Astro system number 1. So, you're going to have to set up a individual ID for your radio to broadcast to your other radios. Preamble length, I usually set mine to 60. Emergency, you don't have to do this, but I do. I set mine to emergency, alarm, and call. This alerts the other radios on your network or frequency or system that you've declared a mayday by hitting the man down button. Acknowledge alert tone, we have a base station that can facilitate a response to let us know that the dispatcher has received our distress call and someone's coming in hot behind us to back us up. As for the fire department, not for the radio shop, that'd be kind of awkward. Hot mic emergency, we set that up the same way. TX period of 20 seconds. Emergency options. I'm just touching on a few key points here that I know someone's going to ask about, so I'd rather just get it out of the way so I can answer as many questions as quickly as possible. Packet data capable system. I check this. I auto-generate an IP address. Your LDCS, your location data capable system. English is hard. Auto-generate target IP address. I always select these same 4 options. Automatic registration service. Do not check this. Your talk permit tone will not work and you'll be very pissed. DVRS, this must be enabled. You have to have DVRS in your radio set up in a similar fashion, if not exactly the same. DVRS is Digital Vehicle Repeater Systems Operations. Meaning, if your radio can't get to a trunked system, it'll bounce onto your vehicle repeater, or it'll look for a vehicle repeater. It's basically go in talk around mode. Okay? What you're going to do is select talk permit tone and talk around when no DVRS comms. I always keep these numbers as minimal as possible, so of course infinite, number 1, number 1, number 1, number 1, number 1, number 1, number 1. Okay? Also, you're going to go to zone channel assignment. I'm going to go to zone 1, channels. You're going to give your channel a name. You're going to go through and select all the appropriate information. Conventional type, personality number 1. Make sure your personalities, your zones, they're all set up the correct way. Make sure your receive frequency is set up accordingly. I just keep everything simple by going CSQ. The transmit output, I usually keep at 2.5 and 12.5 respectively. Talk around direct, make sure that that is checked if you're using talk around. Now, in order to set up your encryption, your secure functionality, go to secure, secure configuration, do not select hardware. Select ADP, Advanced Digital Privacy. This is the way that I found it worked for me. I'm not sure if this is entirely unacceptable, but this is what I found to work, the ADP. Multi-key options, I check CKR key management, multi-key. When the switch is activated or the button that controls your secure transmissions, I put it so that the key name comes on. I don't like it being displayed when someone's talking or if there's a mode change. To me, that just leaves out, or that allows the user to see too much proprietary information for an extended period of time. Under advanced, infinite key retention, I recommend using this. Now you're going to go to your key list. I've already changed the settings in here and changed the radios, so you're going to have to set this up to your personal configuration. This is your key number right here. You're going to name your key, whatever it is that you want. It's just a name. You're going to select your ADP key ID. So for us, it's just key number 1. Now, what you're going to do here is you're going to go in, black that out, erase it, and you're going to type in whatever key you want to put in. Okay? That's it. Usually a 7-digit key is sufficient. You can put up to 10 digits in here. We just use 7. And that's essentially it. Now that you have your key and everything has been set up accordingly, you're going to write to your radio. Now when you write to your radio, I'm not going to do that. It's very simple. All you're going to do is hit this button right here and it'll write the radio. Now when it does, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and you're going to use, I set the top switch up to control the encryption, so it's unencrypted and encrypted. So clear, encrypted. When you switch it on using the switch, the little circle is going to come on and your key name is going to come on. Okay? When you do that, go through, go to FPP, put in your password, look for the channel, the zone. You're going to go through and you're going to select your options as appropriate. You're going to set your receive up to mixed, transmit as analog. Remember before, in the CPS, it had to be under digital. Now you're going to go through and you're going to select analog. From analog, you can put in your receive and transmit NAC. Go through, make sure your settings are correct. You're going to exit. We're in talk around mode right now. You can go off talk around and you'll get that talk permit tone. Now, what's going to happen, and I'm going to use my APX 6000 as a demo here. What's going to happen is when you push this button, the talk permit button on the XTS radio, the following information is going to come across the other radio. The key name and the ID and your transmission. So you've essentially used conventional communication to go between the two radios using a Astro 25 talk permit security, security operation between the two radios. You can use the man down operation, so you can hit the emergency button. You can also initiate emergency evacuation tones. In Astro P25. Pretty sick, right? So, unfortunately, I haven't figured out a way to have the APX series do this. I don't believe it's possible. I could be wrong. I'm still tinkering with it. And it's fairly simple and straightforward from there. Essentially, you're only adding encryption to your radio but using the same steps for a talk per mid tone hack that we're all aware of. Because what happens is when you go through and you don't select encryption, you're on analog. No matter what you do, you'll be on analog. You can receive P25, but unless you activate your encryption, you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. And I hope that this video was instructional or informative enough that you could follow along. It is rather simplified. You know, I would assume that most of the folks that are watching my videos have some experience or background with programming their XTS or XTS 2500s or 1500s. But it's essentially the same thing that you're doing for the XTS 1500 or the XTS 2500. It's all essentially the same process. You're just activating encryption and assigning it to the channel so that you can go ahead and transmit and receive as you see fit. So, with that being said, I hope and pray that this video was informative enough for you. I know it may not have been easy to follow along, but if that's the case, I'll just go ahead and start from scratch. That's the whole point of why I do this. If you have questions, please feel free to ask. I try and respond in as quickly and timely manner as possible. It may not always be as soon as possible, but I do try and do the best I can to answer all of your questions. If you'd like for me to go through the CPS, if that's still a relevant topic for you, I can do that also. But I did have one question that recently came up in the comments section. So this is a Motorola battery from 2012. This thing's almost 10 years old. Doesn't really look like it that much. It's got some fire department whacker gunk on there, probably someone eating next to the radio or whatever. So these batteries here, I believe these are they're 7.5 volt nickel metal hydride batteries. The best that I got out of these was 2800 milliamp, and it lasted a few hours. Now, the problem is these batteries are no longer manufactured by Motorola, and there's a life expectancy on these batteries. So your batteries will only last, and I'm saying aftermarket now, if you charge them according to the instructions and you follow the instructions from the manufacturer of that battery, your battery will last and receive a significant amount of charges to transmit for about 6 to 8 hours. Could be more, could be less. It's really hard to say. There's not a particular science behind it that you can get a clear-cut answer. It's really subjective. But as far as receiving, I've been able to receive on this APX 1000 12 hours straight before I started getting the pre-alert. Now, every radio is different. When I key up, I don't have the, interesting. I don't have a low transmit tone or warning unit. Let me see. Yeah, wow, interesting. So see, like I said, it's selective. It really depends on the battery and the manufacturer. It also depends on whether or not you charge it like you're supposed to. When it first comes out of the box, you're supposed to charge it for like 8 hours straight to make sure it gets a maximum rated capacity. But then you also have batteries that are aftermarket where you could be using an XTS 3000 and you'll get a low battery warning on the same battery that you've been using for the 5000. So you could be getting good use out of it on this radio, but then you start getting pre-alerts on your 3000. So the best thing that I can suggest is to get a brand new battery for your radio, put it on the charger for 6 to 8 hours, or excuse me, for 8 hours, to make sure that you get the most amperage, the maximum charge allowed or capable, and you should receive plenty of receive and certainly more than enough transmit time. If you're working a double or a triple, I hope you got a charger. But guys, I think that's going to do it for this video. I will see if I can touch base on MDC and Quick Call 2. A lot of this stuff we do use for demonstration purposes between the APX series and even some of the HT 1000 units that we have. We also utilize the Quick Call. In fact, yeah, this one has it set up the same exact way. The talk permit tone with encryption. Let me see here. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a customer's radio. Yeah, customer does not have encryption. So, if anyone has any more questions, like I said, I'll go through and I'll do my best to explain it. I'll break it down for you, and we'll go from there. I hope this answered the question. I hope you could at least see what I was doing. And like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll go and I'll do another video, and we'll just take it step by step. We'll go through and do frequencies, PL tones, conventional personalities. We'll go through the whole shebang. Alright guys, this has been Brian with the Daily Com Check, a part of Our Thin Lines. Hope to see you soon. Till next time, take care.